Aseptic Manufacturing was founded in 2010 from a joint venture between Van Andel Institute and Grand Valley State University. They became players in the pharmaceutical industry once they received their certification from the FDA in 2013, so just 3 years later. They are mainly involved in the life sciences sector, mostly focusing on sterile injectable manufacturing, which is kind of just the production of drugs that are administered through injections and that also have to be sterilized. So Graham has to make sure that this manufacturing process is done in a sterile environment, free of any living microorganisms, and this is what makes the manufacturing process so tedious, and this is something that Graham is able to do at a very high level. Since their inception in 2010, Graham has received about $11.8 million through 4 rounds of funding, and this has allowed them to rapidly increase their scale of production. When the company first was founded, they had about 25 employees, and now they employ over 200, which just goes to show how much expansion they've had. They have now multiple locations surrounding the Grand Rapids area as well. Graham's CEO is Thomas J. Ross. He first started at Graham in January of 2013 as an advisor, but was quickly made CEO in August of 2013, so just a couple months after he joined there. Before working at Graham, he was at Perrigo, which is another pharmaceutical company. As an executive at Perrigo, he helped the company grow from about $300 million net worth to being worth over $1 billion today. So it's safe to say Mr. Ross is pretty well versed in growing companies and expanding companies, and that's something that he's brought over to Graham. Mr. Ross is a big reason for the growth that Graham has seen, and he's a big reason for the funding that they've received as well.
Grand River Aseptic Manufacturing, or GRAM, has 3 main competitors: Corden Pharma, Confab, and Famar. The vast pharmaceutical industry is one that is very competitive, and GRAM, being a contract development and manufacturing organization, their primary focus is securing contracts with bigger companies to help and assist in the production and development of new drugs. This primary form of competition between small companies to secure the contracts with these bigger companies is a barrier to entry for a lot of newly established businesses in this field, because they don't have a lot of the established prior relationships to these big companies as longer term companies have had. The first company we'll talk about is Confab, and they were established in 1979, and they have been one of the most similar competitors to Graham over time. They are similar in size and revenue from year to year, and since Q2 of 2019, they have actually experienced a lot of growth due to COVID-19, actually $5 million in revenue increase, but they are not the only one that has seen a huge benefit from COVID. Graham has actually partnered with Johnson & Johnson to produce a COVID-19 vaccine as part of Operation Warp Speed. This is a huge step for Graham, because for being a company that's only 10 years old, to secure a deal that big that can get your name out and get good publicity is very big for their growth and the rapid rate that they already are growing in the industry. Next company is Famar, and they were established in 1949. They're based in Europe, and they are a little bit bigger, but they have nowhere near the growth that Graham has experienced yet, because being established in the 20th century, whereas Graham has only been 10 years old, Graham could likely pass this following the big deal that they had in Operation Warp Speed. The final competitor is Corden Pharma, and they are a direct competitor to Graham, but they are much larger. Started in 2006, they experienced massive growth due to their marketing of many different items, such as injectables, small molecules, and antibiotics. And they have really become a powerhouse in the CDMO competition. Graham has the opportunity to grow just as fast as Corden Pharma if they can continue to market and improve their products, as well as doing a good job working on Operation Warp Speed with Johnson & Johnson.
The services that are provided are pharmaceutical development, manufacturing, analytical testing, and regulatory filing support. After identifying products for the compound, the development process includes technology transfer, quality by design methodology, liquid formulation development, analytical method development and validation, manufacturing process design, optimization and scale-up, sterilization cycle development, labeling and packaging design, stability, storage, and testing. Manufacturing involves finding reliable solutions, vial filling, terminal sterilization, controlled substances, labeling and packaging, storage, and distribution. Being that Graham has both external and internal labs, it gives them the opportunity to provide excellent time turnaround when it comes to the testing of raw materials, components, in process, and finished products, as well as stability samples. The regulatory filing support services include facilitating regulatory strategy, facilitating interaction with regulatory authorities, approval on drug master files, guidance on regulatory submissions, preparing regulatory documents, specializing in internal regulatory guidelines, FDA, EU, TGA, and Health Canada. The team is separated into two groups, the executive team and the business development team. The executive team is comprised of Tom Ross, President and CEO, John Witchell, Vice President of Client Pharmaceutical Services, Steve Knoll, Vice President of Operations, Colleen Hertzak, Vice President of Quality, and Nick Bykirk, Vice President of Finance, and David Powell, Vice President of Business Development International Region. The business development team is comprised of Mary Lou Glossbach, Senior Business Development Manager, New England and other Mid-Atlantic region, Judy Myers, Senior Business Development Manager, New York, New Jersey, Midwest, and Southeast region, and Val Pannell, Business Development Manager, Northwest, California, and Southwest region.
Over the course of the interviews that we conducted with Bo, we learned a lot about his traits and characteristics as a manager. So the first thing we asked a lot about and questioned was his emotional intelligence. During his interviews, he told us that his emotional intelligence wasn't something that was instantly ready when he was hired in as a project manager. It was something that he had to work on. And this is something that is standard with a lot of people because it's not something that everyone is born with, a perfect emotional intelligence. And it is something that can be improved over time. The next thing that we noticed was he did show a lot of servant leadership characteristics, which are he went above and beyond to make sure that his employees and the people he was working with on his team had all the materials and information that they needed to meet those goals that they were working on as a team and finish the project. He really seemed to follow the servant leadership pyramid that we talked about, where it was serving the people who are not so much serving the customers, but at the lowest end. So it's a flipped pyramid. And he really went above and beyond for those people. The final management theory that we talked about was Theory Y, and we thought that he really was a Theory Y manager because he wasn't thinking that he needed to micromanage all his employees and monitor them, everything that they're doing, because they all knew the common goal and they were working on innovating and collaborating, so that he didn't really need to watch them because they all had motivation. And because of this, I think all three of these traits and theories combined, Bo really, and Graham as a whole, had a culture of innovation, collaboration, and working together instead of somewhere where employees don't really want to work and they slack, or they could just leave and better turnover. But because of all these traits, Graham really seems like a good place to work.
The pharmaceutical industry is a competitive industry to successfully compete in. However, Graham works day to day to continually gain clients worldwide through their unique competitive advantage. Graham landed on Inc.'s 5,000 list for the nation's fastest growing private companies list in 2017, 2018, and 2019. In 2019, Graham ranked 2,331st on that list. Graham has been killing the pharma industry since 2013, doubling, even quadrupling their revenue year after year. 2018's revenue was reported to be $27.4 million, and in 2019, they reported over $109 million in revenue for that year. Now, how do they do this? Well, Graham pushes out their competitors with the newest and the best manufacturing equipment in the industry, along with the highly trained staff working 24/7 and 365 days a year to serve each client all around the world. Graham also beats the competition with the quality of their work environment. Being a smaller company able to afford these new technologies makes it so Graham continues to reach new levels. Even in a world pandemic, Graham is continuing to thrive. Recently, Graham gained a partnership with Breda, a researching company, to make the vaccine for COVID-19, competing with the best, like Pfizer. This makes Graham stand out even more to the pharma industry, while they are willing to do more for communities all around the world.
Our first recommendation for Grand River Aseptic Manufacturing is to have a competitive advantage over their competition. They should find a way to set themselves apart from their competition. Since Graham is a smaller company, they need to find a way to have competitive advantage over their competitors, Corden Pharma, Famar, and Confab. Graham needs to find a way to attract more customers, to grow as a company, and compete with the competition. Our second recommendation for Graham is to continue to expand the company. Graham is a small but expanding company. In order to compete with the competition, we think Graham should continue to expand the company. Graham should expand the facilities, hire more employees, as well as continue to use new advanced technology. They have a lot of advanced technology, and if they continue to expand the technology they use, we think they will be able to better compete with their competition while continuing to expand and grow the company. Our third recommendation for Graham is to not only use the avoiding conflict management style. Bo mentioned that when dealing with a conflict, he will take time away to think on the issue and come back with a solution. Bo should consider using the other conflict styles, such as collaborating, accommodating, compromising, and competing when dealing with conflict, and not only avoiding the conflict. Using only one conflict management style is not beneficial for the company and can cause conflicts to go unresolved.